You look like you deserve a fresh start to the new year, and there's nothing better than a classic California road trip. Everyone at Rush Creek Lodge and Spa at Yosemite is ready to welcome you with open arms and miles of smiles. Rush Creek's the ideal base camp for exploring Yosemite's wide open spaces, breathtaking scenery, and pristine mountain air. Go to rushcreeklodge.com and use promo code CHILL to get half off your third night on winter stays.
Welcome to the Going to Killing City podcast, a historical look at murder in Kansas City. Here are your hosts, Jamie Green and Alex Greenwood.
Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. It's Going to Killing City. I, of course, am Jamie Green here in Prairie Village, and we were supposed to do this a few weeks ago, and I'm going to turn it over to Alex because Alex is going to tell you why, and I will just leave it at that. So, Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, my brother, and Happy New Year to you. It's good to see you, and it's good to be anywhere with all the snow we're having. The day we're recording this, we've had some record snows here, and it's cold. The bleak midwinter is upon us. A little more bleak for myself. Long story short, a week and a half before Thanksgiving, my father, Alexander F. Greenwood, he lived in Oklahoma City, was involved in a head-on collision. It was not his fault. A 19-year-old person was apparently distracted while driving. Police report indicated there were no skid marks, and he crossed the center line. He hit my dad head-on. There was witnesses that saw it. Likely he was staring at his phone. My dad survived with 3 broken pieces. Well, his back was broken in 3 places. His left leg had severe nerve damage. He broke some ribs, but he was hanging on. And he was in the hospital for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And then he went into a rehab center for a couple more weeks. And then Medicare, being as great as it is, they sent him home. He didn't do so great. And right around a few days before January 3rd, he contracted COVID. It could have been from a visitor, a home health aide. Don't know. We'll never know. He got sicker and sicker, and long story short, he couldn't hold on, and he died. And so I lost my dad on January 3rd of this year. His name was Alex Greenwood, as I said. I'm named for him, and I'm named for him and my grandfather and his great grandfather, I believe. A lot of Alexes in the family. My daughter's middle name is Alexandra, as a matter of fact. And the weather's been such that we have not been able to give Dad his memorial service, but it's happening. Coming up in a couple of days from the day we're recording this. So, Jamie, I know you lost your dad, and I know you talk about your dad almost every week. It seems like every time I talk to you, there's something comes up that reminds me of my dad, or I look at you playing some music, said this was from my dad's record collection. And I just got through literally before I jumped on this call, and I was late. I'm sorry, Jamie, my evil twin, but he was nothing but graceful about it, of course. But Jamie, was meeting with my siblings and the minister, talk about the service, and you get into these inevitable stories about your dad and the funny things and the good things and some of the weird, quirky things, because we're all humans, right? And It was a joyous thing, and it's going to be tough. But I don't want to dox my friend, but my best friend since college, this is the ironic thing, lost his dad the very same day. They were about the same age too. 81 years old. And it's just been, that is surreal. That is somebody who has been my friend for 39 years. We lost our dads the same day, within hours of each other. And it's been tough. And I just want to say that 2 things about this, which is it's a cliche. You'll hear it from people who lose a parent or a grandparent. If yours are still with you, I encourage you to give them a hug. Give them a call, even if they're cantankerous old, gets, do it anyway. My dad was not cantankerous. Well, he could have been a little cantankerous at times, but it's probably where I get it. But I would say that, and I would say too, if you are driving and look at your phone, or you have a child or somebody in your life who chronically does this, We all glance at the phone. I know that, but I literally drive past Jamie, who are staring at their phone or whatever, talking into it while they're supposed to be driving. Not only did this young person ultimately kill my dad because he was more interested apparently in his phone than driving, but he put him through hell for 6+ weeks before he died. Agony. Okay. So if I'm being a bit of a downer at the beginning of this thing, but I had to get it out. And I knew our wonderful listeners here in Kansas City would understand. And I just want to carry that message to you. Life is a precious, precious thing. And man, there is nothing on that phone that can't wait. Nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now that I've completely ruined the mood for the show, Jamie.
No,
it's going to be such a downer now.
No.
All this happy talk about murder and crap.
I'm glad you still have your sense of humor. It's hard. I don't, it's been 25 years almost with my dad. It takes a long time. It was really hard for a really long time. And grief, I think I told you in a text, it takes its own time. Grief takes whatever time it takes. There's not a right or wrong answer with that. And you just have to do it. So yeah, I mean, my biggest love in my life, besides obviously my wife, is music. And that all came from my father. So there's a lot of those through lines and stuff. And I think probably, Alex, it's your life. It'll be your way. But I'm guessing you'll find those through lines too. And some of the things that you do or say or stuff that will remind you of your father. And in a way, that's how they live on. And it's not easy. It's a gut punch. Like you said, put your fucking phones down. I used to jog for years on the street before my knees got arthritic. We're like old people now. I would watch people go by me. Yeah. And I swear to God, it was like 30% of people are fucking around with their phone. And we can't do anything in this country anymore. But I wish we could make it where the phone doesn't work if the car is moving, because people can't help themselves. People are addicted and they can't do it. And they think they're the one person who can multitask, and nobody can. I always, with my boys, made them put their phones in the glove compartment. That was one of the things about them driving, that I did not want to see it anywhere in the car.
Whoa.
Because kids are kids, and every kid thinks
that is great.
Yeah, because they think they're bulletproof, and it's not going to happen to them, and it does. And then the last thing I'll say, as we just buried Jimmy Carter this week, I think I can speak. I obviously can speak for myself, but I think it's true. Our fathers. My dad was all about do the job right, be on time, keep your word. And be good to your family. And I don't know why those things have become trite in this culture, but I sure as fuck, I'm not letting go of any of that. So anyway, fathers, we love our dads, and it's tough. So I love you. I hope you're hanging in there, and you have my phone and stuff. You can call me whenever, but hang in there. So
thank you.
Much love to you and your family.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that.
And now,
thank you, and it's greatly appreciated. To everybody, if you would, I will just say this before we go. We're going to make a drink today, as we always do, a killer cocktail. And I know it's not about my dad, but if we could hoist one to Dad tonight, that'd be great too. All right, go ahead.
All right. So, in the worst segue ever, today's
terrible. I've ruined the show already.
No, you're great. It's fine. Everybody goes through this. Tonight's sponsor is Casey Beer Company. We have yet another new sponsor. Casey Beer Company is all about beer, which we have not done any beer, but they want you to know all about their new schnapps, which is called beer schnapps, which I'm holding right here because God love, they gave it to me. Sorry, Alex. They make schnapps. So you can get schnapps now, and we're going to talk about this drink in a second. Another really quick announcement at the end of this episode, John Couture, who Alex and I have known forever because he used to be at Casey Beer Station. Too many beers. Beer Station in Waldo and / Brookside for years. Both of our homes. He has a new thing called Liquid Local. He jumped on a Zoom with me, and he even has a Bob Berdella story. So you got to stick around. If nothing else, stick around. He grew up on the same street as Bob Berdella lived. Poor guy. So that's at the end of the episode. For that.
This is crazy. And I'm sorry I couldn't join you because of what happened with my family, but I haven't heard that yet. I'm looking forward to hearing that one. And John is a sweetheart of a guy, by the way. Just not only is he a great beer guy and a great businessman, but he really cares about our community.
He does. And this is a really cool thing. And I think, we have lots of through lines on this show. One of them is that I'm a lazy bastard. So now there's going to be a company that can deliver my booze to my house. Yes. Hello. All right. So Alex gave me the hint last month, which seems like 6 years ago.
Love it.
Holidays, but it was just last month, of hearing aid was the hint. So as we have established long and, in this entire podcast, I am a complete and total music dork. So when I think hearing aid, somebody who needs to be able to hear, I think of Ludwig van Beethoven, who was born in Bonn, Germany in 1770 and died in Vienna, Austria in 1827. Beethoven actually began to lose his hearing in his late 20s. But by the time he was in his mid 40s, which for us now seems really young, he was completely deaf. When he premiered his Ninth Symphony, which is the da-da-da-da, everybody knows that one, in 1824, he actually had to be turned around to see that the audience was cheering because he could not hear them at all. And to me, as someone who is a hack musician, being able to write music that's that amazing and wonderful in your head that you can't hear, you can't play it back on your piano. It's unbelievable what you're able to do. So schnapps, back to our sponsor, actually comes from both Germany and Austria. So where Mr. Beethoven is. I got this from our friend James Arcano. James is the person that I deal with. A real quick aside, as a musician who plays out, there are two type of venues that you play at. There are the venues where they're happy to see you. They are excited to have you there. They are prepared for you. They put a place for you that you don't have to move shit out of the way to play. That's Casey Beer is another place like that. They treat us wonderfully. They make sure we have food. They make sure we have drink. They make sure their waiter or waitress, whoever introduces themselves and said, "Hey, I'm going to be with you guys. You just let me know what you need." That's the way to do it. There are other places that I'm like, why did you hire me? I don't even know why I'm here because you're just not, good and nice or stuff. So what I'm saying is James is a good guy, and he actually gave me this idea. So what you do, they have apple cider, hard cider, obviously, at Casey Beer Company. You cannot get it in cans or stuff. You have to go down there. He actually gave me a growler, which is awesome. And you take mostly for this drink, it is mostly the hard cider, and then you just put a little bit of that schnapps on top of it, and it's yummy. And I'm drinking it right now, and it's quite lovely.
Oh man! Now I'll confess, we enjoy things together, but this is when I have not. Again, I think I get a pass for bereavement right on this one. Yeah. But I am not to be too bad, too unfunny, but I am aggrieved because I was bereaved because I cannot taste this stuff. It looks great and it sounds great. I've never heard of schnapps made this way. Do you have any? Is it? And maybe you don't know, but is it like brewed like a beer? But it is
distilled from grain and hops with natural cinnamon flavor added. And the bottle he gave me was batch number 2. It's bottle 55 of 73. It's cool bottle too. I put it up. I took pictures of it. We'll put it up on the Instagram and the show notes. So the Casey Beer Company, go check them out. They do a lot of cool stuff. They have music night, obviously, but they also have trivia nights and have a bunch of other stuff. They have New Year's Eve at 5 o'clock our time. Thank God love them because that's when it turns in Germany. And then you're old and you can go home and you can be back in your jammies by 7 o'clock. So
that's the way to live right there. That is the way to live, my friend.
God, yes. So that's this month's thing. Down in the show notes is how to make it. It's literally you get hard cider and you pour some schnapps in it. Even I can do this. So that was it. I'm going to turn it over to Alex for this month's episode. So Alex, the floor is yours.
And we are traveling back to the early 1950s to explore one of the most pivotal moments in the fight against organized crime, the Estes Kefauver investigations and their impact right here in Killing City. Kansas City, a lot of people know this, was a hotbed for mob activity during the mid-20th century, and the Kefauver Committee's hearings Ding, 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 ding. Hence the hint of hearing aid brought a spotlight to the city's notorious underworld. So I thought, why don't we unpack the hearings, some of the players, and the legacy of this historic investigation, right? So the Kefauver Committee's mission was in the early 1950s. Senator Estes Kefauver launched a series of hearings through the Senate Special Committee to investigate crime in interstate commerce. These hearings were intended to expose the influence of organized crime in American life, particularly its connections to politics, law enforcement, and business. By the way, you may hear some themes that have been covered on this program before, and you will definitely hear some names before. And Jamie, I fully expect you to jump right in and remind people of some of these people, stuff we've talked about.
Need a bingo card.
Oh, man, we need a bingo card for this one. Kansas City was a critical stop, okay? By the mid-20th century, KC was known as a hub for organized crime, thanks in large part to the Pendergast political machine of the 1920s and 30s. Even after Tom Pendergast's downfall, his machine had left a legacy of corruption and mob ties. The Kansas City crime syndicate, often referred to as the Savella family in later years, was deeply entrenched in gambling, prostitution, and labor racketeering. When the Kefauver Committee hearings arrived in KC in 1951, they attracted a huge amount of attention. They held them at the federal courthouse downtown, and these hearings were packed with reporters, curious citizens, and, of course, federal agents. They were also broadcast live on television, a first for Senate hearings in this country, allowing Americans to see the faces of mobsters and corrupt officials for the first time. This transparency shocked the public and galvanized support for reform. Now, one of the most infamous names tied to Kansas City's mob scene during this period was Charles Charlie Binaggio. He was a charismatic and ambitious guy. He rose to power in the late 40s by consolidating control over the city's lucrative gambling operations. He managed this by forging deep ties with both the criminal underworld and local political figures. By strategically backing politicians who would turn a blind eye to his activities or actively support them, Binaggio secured a protective shield around his growing empire. In many ways, he represented the seamless merging of organized crime and political corruption in mid-century KC. His influence extended far beyond the dice tables, I'll tell you this. He played a critical role in local elections, allegedly ensuring the success of candidates who would prioritize mob interests over public accountability. Some accounts suggest that his ability to mobilize voters, both real and fabricated, was unparalleled, giving him a kingmaker status with Kansas City politics. However, this blending of crime and politics made him a prime target for federal investigations. As the Kefauver Committee's spotlight on organized crime intensified, Binaggio's position became increasingly precarious. On April 5th, 1950, just months before the hearings began in KC, Binaggio and his close associate, Charles Gargata, were brutally murdered in the First Ward Democratic Club. Both men were found shot, execution style, in the back of the head, their bodies slumped in the club's small, dimly lit office. The crime scene, once a hub of political scheming, had become a grim tableau of mob violence. So that, you talked about this first. What episode was it where you talked?
So Johnny Lazia, because Gargata was the one that remember when we talked. I mean, this episode one was a long time ago, but when the sheriff just rolled up and there was the open gunfight going on, they're trying to kill the Nash guy.
Right.
Gargata was one of those people that was there. So yes, it's a very much of a shout back. We still need to write this book, but yes.
Oh yes.
I think you did a very funny thing on that one because I was having problems with all these. I'm very waspy. And I think you called him Domo Arigato, Mr. Gargata, if I remember correctly.
That sounds like something idiotic I would do, but okay. Okay, well, stay tuned, my friend. Listen closely. You may hear some, and frequent listeners to the program, you should be hearing some of the things. But we're taking it from a different angle on this one. So get this, though. And now this is something that Jamie told us that first episode. The murders remain officially unsolved to this day, though many believe they were ordered by higher-ups in the National Crime Syndicate. Well, duh, right? Binaggio's growing prominence and the heat from federal investigations probably made him a bit of a liability, particularly if there was concern he might cooperate with the authorities if he flipped. His death sent I would say, chilling message to anyone who might consider breaking the mob code of silence. Omerta. Another prominent figure drawn into the Kefauver hearings was Anthony Tony Gizzo. Now, unlike Binaggio, Gizzo was a seasoned mobster with connections to both Kansas City's underworld and the larger national syndicate. He had a reputation as a shrewd operator who knew how to move vast sums of money through illegal gambling operations while keeping the law at bay. However, the Kefauver Committee's investigators were not fooled. They uncovered financial records that revealed staggering sums flowing through Gizzo's network, evidence of the sheer scale of Kansas City's organized crime operations. It's so funny. People are like, Kansas City, really? I mean, they have the Chiefs. They have the greatest football team. Sorry, my friend, but right now they do. And there's a small cow town, and they had the first place to get Google Fiber. Well, and yes, we had some of the worst criminals imaginable. I mean, Kansas City's got it all.
Yeah. If you like Vice, this is your town. So.
So when he was called to testify, Gizzo epitomized the mob's traditional strategy of denial and deflection. He claimed ignorance of any criminal activities, presenting himself as a legitimate businessman. Yet his luxurious lifestyle, complete with expensive cars, fancy fine suits, sprawling properties, it was pretty stark contrast to his professed innocence. And while Gizzo managed to avoid immediate repercussions from the hearings, this scrutiny marked him for future investigations. He didn't get away unscathed. Overshadowing much of this activity was the lingering legacy of our old buddy Tom Pendergast, the infamous political boss who had dominated KC politics during the 20s and 30s. Though Pendergast himself had died in 1945 after serving time in prison for tax evasion, his network of influence remained intact. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right? Many of his allies had transitioned seamlessly into positions of power, continuing the cycle of corruption that had long benefited the mob. So the Kefauver Committee uncovered evidence that these remnants of Pendergast's machine were still actively working with mob figures like Binaggio and Gizzo. And this symbiotic relationship between organized crime and political corruption painted a stark picture of the challenges faced by law enforcement and reformers in dismantling KC's entrenched systems of power. Unless you think that we think that all law enforcement was bent back then, they weren't all. There were plenty of people who wanted to clean things up, just to say. Now, the murders of Binaggio and Gargata, Domo Gargata, Mr. Roboto, the defiant testimony of Gizzo, and the shadow of Pendergast's legacy all underscored the dangerous and deeply rooted connections between crime and politics in Kansas City. The Kefauver hearings may not have provided all the answers, but they certainly shined a light on the extent of the problem. So, the Kefauver Committee's findings did have some fallout. It led to the arrest and prosecution of several key mob figures. Tony Gizzo faced tax evasion charges. It is a common tactic used by feds to bring down mobsters. They did that with who? Alphonse Capone. They did that to him. Others like Anthony Tony. It's funny. You might see other people, even in public life today, who get in trouble. And it's never the big thing you expect that gets them convicted of something. It's always something like just cover. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, others like Anthony Tony Savella, who would later become a leading figure in the KC mob, were placed under close federal scrutiny. So the hearings exposed this web of corruption involving law enforcement and local officials, and this airing of dirty laundry forced Kansas City to confront the extent of mob influence in its institutions. And while the mob wasn't dismantled overnight, the Kefauver hearings marked the beginning of a long decline in their power. So I just found some interesting tidbits here, Jamie, about some of this stuff. It's like I said earlier, like KC wasn't just local organized crime. It was tied to the national syndicate. You watch Casino, you watch Goodfellas, you hear about the KC mob. Even in the Godfather movies, I think there is at least a reference made to KC. I think.
Yep.
Yeah. KC was a key point for distributing illegal gambling revenue across the country. Some of that money even funded Las Vegas casinos. Now, get this. There's another interesting tidbit. The live television coverage of the hearings was groundbreaking, as I said, but millions of Americans tuned in, and this made Senator Kefauver a household name, later propelling him to run for president. Obviously, We've never had a President Kefauver, but it put him up there.
Bobby Kennedy was on that.
Yeah, that's right. On the committee. That's right. And he was a staff.
The father, not the son. They didn't shoot well or cut it up or whatever.
Because Jack Kennedy was on the committee as well, was he not?
He was.
And so he was a staffer. Yeah,
I believe the old man Joe said, Jack, put Bobby on this committee.
On this committee.
And,
by the way, if you get elected president, make him attorney general, which would never happen today, or would it?
We would never do things like that today.
No. God, it seems more likely than ever. So one of the things, too, is that there was a really dramatic moment in the hearings came when Kefauver, it was a pretty fearless dude. He grilled Kansas City police officers about their ties to the mob. The officers were just full of evasive answers, and it was evident they were terrified of mob retaliation. But it just, there it was. It was like Kefauver was asking all these questions to these cops who were clearly bent, and they were terrified, and it was just obvious. So this is where a lot of the inspiration for a big wave of crime dramas in Hollywood came from, like The Big Heat, On the Waterfront, were heavily influenced, Godfather eventually, by the revelations of organized crime and corruption uncovered by the committee. So it did lay a lot of groundwork for decades of reform and law enforcement efforts to combat the mob. And pretty much, and I'm oversimplifying this and not overstating it really for once, the KC mob would still remain active for years to come, and the Kefauver committee's work marked the beginning of their unchecked power. But I'm not sure you could say that they're done, There's plenty of evidence that there's still obviously criminality going on in Kansas City. I'm certainly not going to name any names here, but I mean, there certainly is some criminality going on in Kansas City. But you can't escape the conclusion, though, that the Kefauver hearings were a transformative moment in American history, because it exposed all this, and it took it out of the realm of, some crime goes on. Americans got to get up close and personal through their television sets. Look at these people, and on
YouTube, Alex, can people look at any of this? Was any of this been put up on YouTube? Any of these hearings?
I believe they are, and I'm gonna get you some links. But what's interesting too is I was in Vegas recently, and I went to the Mob Museum, which sounds like a cornball thing. You got to go. There's practically a whole wing about Kansas City mob in there. And yes, if you look at the show notes on killingcitypod.com, you will see some of my snapshots. Yes. You will see some of my snapshots from the exhibits there.
It's a stringer.
Yeah, telling you, man. So
he's been on his vacation. He was doing work for our beloved podcast.
Well, that's how I write off the flight. But so I just think that even though we didn't really go on a mystery here, I think it was just a primer for our listeners about how Kansas City, not screwing around, had serious mob organizational ties here, and that had a web that with feelers out all over the country. So it's just interesting to me, though, that whatever Kefauver's motivations were, which we didn't even get into that, were they political so he could propel himself to possibly the presidency? Well, it probably didn't hurt. Yep. The thing is, though, that there are people out there who do want to do something about organized crime, about corruption in general. Well, in my opinion, most crime isn't organized. It's just corruption. It's greed. It's opportunistic things. People go like, oh, well, I could steal this and nobody would know, would they? You have people like that. But it just shows Kansas City's place in the pantheon of crime. And I just thought it'd be nice, Jamie, to kind of just put our arms around the fact that Kansas City is way bigger deal and truly is, in a lot of ways, a killing city.
It is. And there's other episodes that are being planned down the pike where we will touch this again. Yeah. I mean, Godfather, the very famous scene where Michael comes in before the Senate hearing, and he denies everything, and he's a military veteran. How dare you, sir? That kind of stuff. So yeah, and there's people that have lost their lives since I've lived here because of mob violence. So it's not distant at all. There's stuff that's still pretty recent.
I had a friend, Jamie, who an ex-girlfriend whose best friend's dad was involved, and he got crossways with him, and they once according to her, picked her up and just kidnapped her for an afternoon just to teach the guy a little lesson.
That's terrifying.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. That's another good reason not to do anything that's within 25 years on this podcast.
Yes, that's a long time ago. I know of nobody involved in this, and I'll say no more. But I will look around and put some links in the show notes. But there are plenty of books out there about the Kansas City mob. But I'm telling you, Jamie, I don't know if you ever get to Vegas, but if you get to Vegas, you got to go check this mob museum out, guys. It looks like, I don't remember, it looks like an old it probably was an old federal building, and it's like, you think it's like gonna be some corny tourist trap, and it's not. It's actually on the National Register. It's like, it's got a board of directors. It's the exhibits are incredibly educational and fun and interesting. They have a speakeasy downstairs.
Okay.
And I didn't even get into that, but I may dig up some pictures of those fine drinks we had down there. In fact, my friend, and pardon me for not having all that at my fingertips again. I've had a few things going on lately, but there are some cool drinks down in that speakeasy. But I think I may have photographed a page or two out of the menu, so I'll see if I can dig those up and put them in the show notes.
I have been to Vegas a few times. My college friend groups, we get together every 4 or 5 years, and we did one in Vegas 2017 I don't remember, but we break up during the day. So there's the Blue Crew, which I'm part of, and the Red Posse, and the Red Posse clowns, they went and saw the mob museum. Now you're making me a little sad, although I went to rehab because in the Blue Crew, one of my friends, no, not the actual, it was at the Hard Rock Cafe, the outdoor pool area was called Rehab.
Oh, okay.
And my one friend, who's now remarried, but at the time was single, he goes, "Let's go to Rehab." And we're like, "I don't go to Rehab." And he goes, "I'll buy all the drinks." I'm like, "Okay, let's go to Rehab."
Oh, we'll go to Rehab.
And it's a very funny story. I'll be very quick. But so we're there. First of all, it's a huge pool and stuff. And we're talking to these people who it's a whole bridal group. And they're here and blah, blah. And so finally I said, "Well, where's the bride?" And like, "Oh, the wedding was canceled, but we'd already paid for the bachelorette party. So we decided to come anyway."
Oh my gosh.
And the best part of it is I get home. This is a while ago. So Will was still probably middle school, my older son. And I told Kelly, I was like, "Yeah, we went to rehab." And Will was like, "You went to rehab?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, I said, "How do you at 13 know about rehab?" And he goes, "Dad, everybody knows about rehab." Apparently it was a reality show for a while.
Oh, Celebrity Rehab. Yeah.
But it was like all of the people like partying and drinking at the pool, and they made it a show. And he was so pissed off that his old, terrible 9-year-old father got to go, and he did. And then I said, because I'm me, I said, "Man, that'd be a real shame if rehab closed before you turned 21. And it did.
It did.
Take it out of COVID. I called it.
Oh my God, I love that. You know, that's so funny. I've been to Vegas more times than if I told you'd be like, "You got to get a life." But I have a buddy who loves Vegas. Anyway, I could do a whole show. We're not going to, because the show's not about that. But on the cocktail side, I could do a whole show about just the various places I've had drinks there. And by the way, I did eat. There's a great place called Batista's Hole in the Wall there. It's an Italian joint. It's a red velvet, red sauce. Very much mobstery place in Vegas that is not far from the Mob Museum, but really great food. But it's just interesting when you think about when I was there, because I was in Vegas just a few weeks back, or a couple of months back now, and the connection though the between organized crime there and here, as I mentioned in my story, is that there's so much connection between KC and Las Vegas. It's just such an interesting story about that, and about how, though these are criminal enterprises, they literally did build Las Vegas. They literally built the place. I mean, Siegel, but it's Siegel, right? You know, and that famous line of The Godfather, which is not even true, by the way, is that there's not even a statue to him. "I'm Mo Green." Anyway, there is actually a small statue of Siegel. I forget where. It's it's tiny. It's
Should have got that massage, Mo. Didn't turn out well for you, buddy.
Somebody had their eye on him. Sorry, that was terrible.
I just saw that actor. So this is
Alex Rocco.
Oh my God. There's some brain cells that's never going to fire again that you were able to bring that up so quickly. Yes. So we've been watching. So we went. So this started during COVID when we could. So we first started. We're rewatching all the seasons of Frasier. Like we started all over from the beginning, and it was just like palate cleanser. It's just it's 20 something. By the way, there's some jokes in Frasier they could never do anymore. But anyway, and then we moved on to Seinfeld and talk about jokes you can't tell anymore, and did that. And so now we're watching Mary Tyler Moore. And it's been interesting watching it because early on, when there were cameos, there were people that were pretty old, but now Henry Winkler has a cameo in there. Your boy, that his name expects, who was this guy? Rocco guy. He was in the episode last night. David Ogden Stiers from MASH fame. He's in it. And there was somebody else in it. And I was like, you can just tell we're getting toward the late 70s at this show because it's season 7 to close. And all these shows, people, I think John Ritter was in one, are going to be stars in the 80s, are getting their cameos on the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Wow. Albert Brooks got his start on The Odd Couple, by the way. With it wasn't his, it may not have been his start, but Albert Brooks made some great great appearances on The Odd Couple. It's so fun to watch that, and I watch a lot of. Okay, here, let's show our age for a minute more. I watch a lot of MeTV these days, and it's just fun to watch all the old shows and see where they look at all the old Twilight Zones. How about that? Robert Duvall. I mean,
Bill Shatner.
Bill Shatner. He was on 2 episodes.
Yep.
You can just, you could just name all these people. And it's so fun to watch them when they're up and coming and they have their own hair.
And now, my conversation with John Couture. John, thanks so much for coming on Going to Killing City. I know we have known each other for a while. You used to book my band back in your beer station days. But we are here to talk about your new venture, Liquid Local, which I think is fabulous. We try to always support local folks, and we obviously, a lot of these folks, whether it's Casey Beer Company this month, or if it's Rieger, or it's West Bottom Whiskey, all those people have been our sponsors in the past. So anything that we can do to share the word and get the good word out for people. But tell us a little bit about your idea first.
Yeah, so Local Liquid started after we sold Beer Station. So for those who don't know, we closed and sold Beer Station in 2012 to City Barrel. And so they just recently reopened the location earlier last year as another extension of their brewery. But after we sold the Beer Station, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I really missed the beverage community. I'm sure you remember all the breweries and people we would have at Beer Station, and they're wonderful people. They're all such giving, like kind, fun people. And I just decided that, if I could figure out a concept that would work beyond just beer, because I wanted to kind of extend beyond that a little bit. I thought it'd be really fun to try to delve into that area again. And that kind of popped into my head that I used to have all these breweries bring all their great beer to Beer Station. And we'd try it there on tap or get it to go. But after Beer Station sold, I have to drive all around the city to these smaller breweries to get everything. And I started to think that the same thing is true with small coffee roasters or distillers that aren't self-distribute or aren't widely available across the city. Might be available in a store here and there. So I basically I put together just kind of like a business plan and started meeting with all these small businesses across categories, and just kind of threw out the idea about hey, what if we could be an online marketplace supporting local small beverage businesses of all kind. Everybody loved it. Every single company I went to was like, this is a really exciting, fun concept, because they could also contribute and add information about their business into our site and our online marketplace. So everything is online. So people purchase online. And then right now we're just doing pickup at our warehouse, which is 65th Street between Troost and Rock Hill. But we're going to start rolling out delivery later probably late winter, early spring, targeting different areas of the city with the most interest and just grow organically from there. So we're doing juices, beer, wine, spirits, kombucha, everything, coffee. So it's really fun to be able to put this all together into one package for people so they can try a little bit of everything. Does that make sense?
And I think, it kind of... the one good thing about COVID, I mean, really, the one good thing was a lot of the world changed in these kind of things. So something like this could not have happened before, right? It was something that people did not feel comfortable with. But I was going and picking up liquor during COVID, and then driving home with it. So it's something to do. But like you said, it's obviously we love spirits here on this podcast, but we're both huge coffee people too. So yeah,
Mhm.
if you don't drink, still got a lot of great options.
Yeah, that's the thing that we really like about it, especially because, when we started Beer Station, I mean, craft beer was just insanely popular. But since then, all these everything is there. Consumers have been more interested in trying a little bit of everything. So they might have a beer and then a cocktail and then a kombucha, or they might just blend it or a seltzer. So we like the idea of being able to offer a little bit to everybody, no matter what your taste is.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. So the website is localliquid.com.
Yeah.
Use your reading glasses, John. I didn't look.
I already got mine on. See.
We'll put the link in the show notes for people. If you didn't get that, just scroll down on your phone while you're listening to this. It will be a link in the show notes. You can click on it and it'll take you right to the website. I did see you're kind of getting the band back together, John. Who's the guy that was behind the bar forever?
Natty. Yeah, my good friend Natty. He and I met over 30 years ago when we were both video store slackers at SRO Video, which was a small independent video store that a lot of people in the Waldo area know. So yeah, he was there the entire run of Beer Station, and he's our operations manager, and he's an awesome guy. It's really fun to work with him again.
Well, we lived in Armour Hills for 11 years, so I went to SRO a lot, and I'm going to sound old, but I don't care. I miss it. I like to actually look and deciding what to get. Lastly, since we talked a little bit on this offline, but here's your opportunity. I know you had talked about a couple of our episodes that brought back some personal memories. So do you want to talk about the firefighters a bit, or do you want to talk about Burdella before we go?
I feel like I need to talk about Burdella. So I grew up at 42nd and Charlotte, just up the block from Bob Burdella. And so my mom knew him. She shopped at his Bob's Bazaar, and people in the neighborhood recognized him walking around. So the odd thing is, my sister was going to school in London at the time when he was arrested. And my mom and I went over to visit her in London. And my mom was a true crime nut. She always read true crime like novels or true crime books and everything. And so we called my dad to ask what was going on back home, and he said, "Well, there's a naked man with a dog collar running around, and they think there's a serial killer down the street." And we're like, "Ha, what's really going on in Kansas City?" He's like, "There's a naked man with a dog collar running around," and then like I think Geraldo Rivera was there down the block, and my mom. I mean, this is awful because I know it's a really serious thing, but my mom was so upset that she was in London, and the biggest true crime story was happening down the one time she's out of the country. And this like big thing was going on in her neighborhood. So, but obviously that was a very dark, awful situation overall. So it's, I know the neighborhood is still very aware of the situation with it, and it was a pretty awful situation.
All right, so folks, next month we have been slumming and half-eating and two rubes on this podcast. We actually have somebody who really knows what the hell she's talking about. Yeah. And she is going to come in and talk about a case that she was a part of.
I still can't believe this.
So the hint for Alex that he has to do is the Blair Self-Snitch Project. The Blair Self-Snitch Project. That's for next time. But yeah, we are going to be almost quasi-journalist next month for this episode because
that's crazy.
We're going to have to like up our game. We're probably actually going to have to do research.
Yeah, man.
I may actually have to comb my hair. It's a big deal.
So we're not telling who this person is.
Oh, got to have a teaser.
Oh, that one hint is really good. But I
will say this. She just left elected office. And she feels very freed by that. She told us in the email, you're getting the non-campaign version of her, and she's going to say whatever the hell she wants to say. And we were like, yes, please.
Yes, please. It's folks, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. We won't say who it is. Although I don't know. Watch our Facebook page. If we get wild hair, we might come up with some little. Maybe if somebody guesses, we won't acknowledge on the page, but we'll acknowledge who. If somebody guesses who this person is on Facebook, we'll note that, and then we'll let you know during the next show. How about that, Jamie? And then maybe we'll figure out maybe something from one of our sponsors.
We can do that.
Do
the reason why
fun.
We are podcast veterans. We all have other podcasts, and I one time made the mistake. Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's fame was on it. It was signed, sealed, and delivered. I read her goddamn book, the entire thing. I highlighted it. I was so prepared.
Right.
The day of the interview, after me promoting it, she's like, her PR person says, she has a doctor's appointment, so it's going to be kind of tight. Can we move it? And to people, if you have a podcast, never say yes. Always say, no, we have to do it now. Yeah. And I said, trying to be a nice guy, like, sure, we can do it whenever. And then she ghosted me. So that's why I'm not saying the name yet, because it's not in the can yet. The second it's in the can,
yeah,
I'll be happy to tell everybody. But it just makes me nervous.
But this person, we have no reason to believe will flake out. But you're being superstitious, because we've both been there. And
superstitious.
By the way, I just have to tell you real quick, 2-time guest on my show just got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Everybody, George Stevens Jr., Oscar winner, creator of the American Film Institute, used to work for Edward R. Murrow at the USIA. He just got the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Biden. And I got to tell you, I mean, that just upped my stock a little bit to say I have two times I've had this gentleman on my show. So mysterious goings on. But anyway,
get him back.
I'll never get him back. No, it's over. But no, but he's a.
Yeah, he's done slumming now. He's like, I'm not doing that shit anymore.
I got a medal. I'm done. No, but I am so excited for next month. And guys, seriously, if you're having a drink out there, drinking one of these great Casey beer drinks, hoist one for my dad, Alexander F. Greenwood, if you would, please. He was a damn fine man, and sure as hell got a raw deal there. But you know what? We'll miss him, but we're gonna think fondly of him and try to think of the good things. So I just hope everybody will hoist one to dad.
Much love to your dad and all your family. We will see you next month.
It's always amazing to see how quickly your child grows, and I'm not just talking about their height. From those early babbles to full-on storytelling, getting to watch how their ideas, creativity, and confidence develop over the years is honestly pretty incredible. Sometimes they surprise you with what they come up with, and Lego bricks can be right there with them through all of those stages. It's not just a toy, it's a full creative building journey that keeps evolving as they do. Lego Sets Play starts as early as 1.5 with Lego Duplo, the bigger bricks designed for little hands that are just starting to explore and build. Then around age 4, kids transition to the smaller Lego bricks, and suddenly you're watching real structures take shape, real ideas form, and their imagination really take off. They begin with simple stacking, but over time they grow into full-on creators, building worlds, stories, and things you never would have expected. That's the kind of magic of Lego bricks. You're not buying a phase, you're starting a journey. Learn more and start building today with Lego bricks.